This is Solana zoomed out on the weekly chart. As you can see, it has not meaningfully broken last cycle's all-time high. This is something we all need to pay special attention to. What we're watching right now is the quiet before a tsunami that most people are not positioned for. Look at Ethereum, BlackRock stacking ETH for a month straight, and the price drifts lower. Future shorts just keep pounding it into the ground. Solana just got its first staking ETF that went live today. A spark most people are just brushing off, or at the very least not paying attention to at all. But here's the twist that nobody's connecting. It's not about one coin or one ETF. It's about the pressure building beneath the surface. A wall of altcoins are primed for yields, legal clarity creeping closer, and Wall Street starving for real returns in a world that, let's face it, is completely drowning in debt. This is the disbelief stage. The market wants you bored. It wants you frustrated. But beneath that boredom is a structural setup for an altcoin supply shock. And when that wall of capital flips from shorting to spot buying, it won't trickle in. It'll flood. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. I'm not trying to be too dramatic with that introduction, and I'm also not trying to just harp on the altcoin ETF narrative too much, but it's just continuous developments right now, and it's a precursor to what I think is going to happen in this industry. And if you're an altcoin holder, even if you're a Bitcoin holder, this is massive. What is playing out right now? So hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in. If you're not in our intelligence system, get in there. 40% off still. I mean, we're still in tough times, especially if you're an altcoin holder. I'm going to keep these prices for now, but get our risk models, get our exit planners. I want to start the video and look at the altcoin market cap long-term risk score sitting at 20 to preface this entire video. And we're going to look at Ethereum, Solana, ADA charts, and talk about what's going on in the news. I do want to just say something. If you look at this risk score of 20 in terms of altcoins, I say very simply, I don't think the altcoin bull run has happened yet. And we're going to get even more hints of that. But if you just go and you actually look at last cycle, kind of this June, July area, that was that 20 risk score for altcoins. And altcoins at that time coming out of COVID were just, I mean, look at this, years of suppression as well back then. This time around, it's a little longer. However, just notice that was pre-bull market area. This was also right at the beginning of that quantitative easing cycle. We talk a lot about business cycles for crypto and what the Fed is doing. And this last bear market that we went into, and even the multi-year compression, has been in this state of quantitative tightening. But we're getting ready to enter a very similar environment, different things happening, but similar environment to what happened back here. Quantitative easing, money printers, interest rates going to start coming down. So I wanted to just mention that, and we have all of these risk scores back here that are going to help our members kind of plan their exits in this crypto cycle. So get back there if you're not back there. Now, if we go back and we look at what is going on, kind of what I discussed in this intro, and then I want to look at some of these charts. When the Genius Act gets passed by Congress, expecting this month, and we have confirmed view that stablecoins on public blockchains will exceed $2 trillion in issuance over the next 10 years, all eyes will be on Ethereum. Robinhood launching L2 on Ethereum is big signal for any future companies looking to leverage blockchain settlement rails for tokenized assets. Most hated asset has fuel for a disbelief rally. And this chart that I've been covering on this YouTube channel, I think is the setup for the disbelief rally. And if you just look at this, this is a weekly. I do want to dig more into this in just a moment, as well as Solana, but just back to this whole concept of Ethereum and what is happening with just all this liquidity coming into the space and what is happening with Ethereum ETF accumulation. The BlackRock ETF has added Ethereum on 29 of the past 30 days, yet ETH is down. How? Continued relentless piling up of futures shorts. So here is the Ethereum ETF flow chart we've been tracking a lot of, and you can just see yesterday, $54.8 million in Ethereum accumulated by BlackRock just yesterday. Now, there's this conflict, right? All this accumulation is happening, but all of these shorts are just piling into Ethereum. I don't know the timing of everything, and I just simply don't know, nobody does, on how these things will play out, especially in the short term or the midterm. But if there is a move to the upside when we start dissecting Ethereum analysis, there will be a massive short squeeze. And the positioning for this right now is setting up very nicely. And again, there's no guarantees. Right now, even on the weekly chart for Ethereum, we're still at this macro trend line resistance. We're waiting to see if we get this busted pattern. That is the break to the downside, a fake out, pull back to the upside, and then breaking into the apex for just kind of this reversal, a bullish breakout to the upside of this triangle. So that's something we're watching. Now, I want to talk about Ethereum. Right now, Ethereum is down from all-time highs. Solana is down from all-time highs. ADA is down from all-time highs. But here's the deal. Look at what is happening outside of just Ethereum in the altcoin space. Rex Osprey launches first US ETF with Solana exposure plus staking rewards. This is a major milestone for ETFs in the crypto industry and a pioneering expansion in how securities investors can access crypto investments and blockchain native returns. Check this clip out. So this is James over here from Bloomberg. Just listen to what he's saying here in relation to crypto and crypto ETFs, altcoins.
Though I do think this is going to be a successful category. Solana ETFs are likely to be successful. This product isn't the simplest, easiest way of getting exposure, but it is a way to get exposure earlier than any of their competitors for Rex Osprey. So that's a big win for them. And it just shows the SEC is moving forward towards this direction of allowing staking exposure, allowing exposure to these other digital assets, which is something that
we get this continued unlock, not only with just altcoin ETF approvals, right? Because we've been tracking, there's a ton of altcoin ETFs in line. They're filed for approval, like they're waiting for approvals with 95% odds of being approved. Not only that, but we get kind of this staking approved within these ETFs for not just Solana, but things like Ethereum and hey, even Cardano, while we have trillions getting set up to come via things like the Stablecoin Act, the Genius Act that's getting ready to be passed. Do you see what's happening? And then you look at the actual just charts, which many people are just kind of looking at, but they're not even zoomed in or zoomed out. They're very zoomed in. So if we zoom out though, we see, man, Ethereum has not even really barely has tested all-time high from last cycle. And last cycle, we had none of this going on. Look at Solana. Right now, Solana just got, and today is its first day, ETF staking. Solana has an amazing narrative for this cycle. This is not even tested or like meaningfully tested all-time highs from last cycle. So the question that you have to ask yourself, and really nobody can tell you, right? But all of us have to ask ourselves this. When you're looking at charts like this, do you think with everything that's going on right now, and we look at monetary cycle, we look at macroeconomics, we look at things that are happening outside, like outside of just the charts, and even outside of what crypto is doing and the bullishness, the pro legislation that's being passed, getting ready to be passed, you sit here and you ask yourself, do you really think it's game over for altcoins this cycle? Or do you think it's not started yet? It's very simple. And you can have an opinion that it's game over. That is fine. But for me and my thesis on crypto, I very much think we are just getting started. The Solana chart. And then you go to something like Cardano. And Cardano obviously is a top hold of mine. It's something I talk a lot about. And you can just see it's even further away from all-time highs. But things like Cardano, they just trade differently. And this is nothing new. And there are other altcoins that are in the same boat as ADA. And I think when it comes to volatility to the upside, because we know they perform very strongly from a volatility perspective to the downside, they outperform. To the upside, I think the same will be true. That is, ADA in this regard will outperform to the upside. There is so much in store for something like Cardano and altcoin markets in general. If you go to just look at the total crypto market cap, and this is excluding the top 10, this is a high volatility chart right here. These are excluding top 10 cryptos. Look at this. Even this chart, with all of the bearish sentiment and everything that is playing out right now, it is still in higher high and higher low territory from bear market lows. Do you see this? From December 2022 bear market lows, this altcoin chart, in terms of just outside of the top 10, is up over 200%. And we are still in this continued phase of suppression. So I wanted just to discuss all of these things because the Solana news happening today, I think, is a big piece of the narrative for ETFs and ETF staking. But please remember, we are at the very beginning of this game. And in terms of liquidity and in terms of macro Fed cycles and all the business cycle that we've been tracking in terms of, you know, the balance sheet coming out of quantitative tightening into quantitative easing and expansion phase, we're just at the setup. So I really wanted to go over these things with you. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm just curious. I know I see the sentiment. Oftentimes lately, it seems more people are bearish, but I know there's a silent majority out there that are just kind of hanging out. You're bullish on the crypto space and you're tracking what I'm tracking. So hit the subscribe if you're out there. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this content. I appreciate each and every one of you. Some people out there say, when I finally hit 400,000 subscribers, because I've been stuck at 399 for quite some time, the bull market can begin. So hit that subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.